I, 28 female, am about to give birth. I'm literally 38 weeks pregnant, and my doctors are sure that my baby is going to be here any day now. My doctor had warned me and my husband that the baby could be here anywhere between 37 and 38 weeks. I had a moderately risky pregnancy and have been on bed rest since 32 weeks. My mother died during childbirth, so I've been exceptionally scared about my pregnancy and delivery. My husband Kenny, 31, male, constantly assured me that he would be by my side all the time. He promised that he would be with me when I gave birth, and he would make sure that both me and the baby were healthy. I know that he's not a doctor, so technically he wouldn't be able to do anything in a medical emergency, but his physical presence is something that I really needed. I had been paranoid about the delivery since this was my first pregnancy, so hearing my husband say that he would be there for me was a huge relief to me. I trusted his words and thought that he would do everything possible to keep his promise, but then he did something absolutely unforgivable in my eyes. Yesterday, he came back from his best friend's bachelor's party week, which was happening 2,000 miles away from where I lived. He came back from a week-long trip that I strictly told him not to go to. This man, who promised to stay by his wife's side while she gave birth to his baby, actually ended up ignoring his wife's wishes and going to a party that was happening thousands of miles away. Mind you, I entered my 38th week just 4 days ago. He knew that the doctor had said I would be ready to give birth anytime between 37 to 38 weeks. I've been constantly checking up with the doctor to make sure everything went smoothly. Even the doctor had suggested that we stay close by in case my contractions started early. Kenny knew all of this, but still chose to leave me and attend his friend's bachelor party week. We had numerous fights about this leading up to the trip. Kenny was adamant about going and really dismissive of the fact that I could go into labor while he was away. Kenny kept saying that babies don't come before 9 months are fully done, so we had nothing to worry about. He also said that this was one of his best bros bachelors, and the plan had been in the works long before I got pregnant. His arguments were downright insane, and I was extremely frustrated with him. I told him very clearly that he couldn't go to this party while leaving his highly pregnant wife at home all alone. The fights led us to nowhere because none of us were willing to back down. Then, 5 days before the trip, Kenny suddenly stopped talking about it altogether. My stupid pregnancy brain thought that he had finally realized that going away so close to my due dates would be a bad idea, so I happily dropped the issue and didn't talk about it. What I didn't know was that he had been secretly packing his bags little by little and preparing to go on the trip despite my objections. On the day he was supposed to leave, I woke up to an empty house with a little note on the kitchen counter saying, "I'm off to the bachelor's trip. Don't be mad. I'll be back before you know it." He even added some hearts and smiley faces on the note, as if it would magically make everything better. I won't lie, but I immediately saw red when I read the note. I immediately started to call him and found out that his phone had been switched off. I kept trying, and sometimes my calls went through, but he would never pick up. He ignored my messages and didn't even bother to tell me anything after he left. He basically ghosted me for the whole week. I really wanted to blast him for what he did, but I couldn't because I knew there was no point. He wasn't going to be back, and in case of emergencies, he wouldn't be able to make it back on time. After a long crying session, I called up my best friend and explained to her what was going on. She was shocked and appalled and cursed my husband out in every way possible. She knew that I was probably panicking about suddenly being left alone, so she moved in with me and stayed with me. She already knows the birth plan, among other stuff, so I felt a little better knowing that at least I would have her with me. That whole week, I was super stressed and had been worried about what would happen if I went into labor before Kenny came back. I was also very angry and hurt by what he did to me. By the time the week was up, I was so angry that I had decided to kick him out of the house. I didn't want to stay with him or even see his face anymore. My best friend packed some of his essentials and kept them on the front porch so that he wouldn't have to come in to pack a bag. Besides, he had some of his luggage with him anyway. Kenny continued ghosting me until he came back home. The stupid idiot thought that I would welcome him with open arms or something. He started panicking when he saw his stuff outside. He tried to sweet talk his way into the house and even tried to dismiss everything he did. His logic had been, "What's done is done. You didn't even have the baby yet. It was just a week. It was selfish of you to tell me not to go." And my personal favorite, "This pregnancy brain is really making you crazy." In a few minutes, it became clear to him that I was dead serious, but he still tried to downplay what he did and kept telling me that we should talk this out. I was done with him though. So with the help of my friend, I kicked him out. I told him the truth that he had messed up big time and I was actually considering separation because I didn't think I could overlook or forgive him. This took Kenny by surprise and he started to tell me that I was overreacting. A brief argument later, he left but kept blowing up my phone with messages and calls. He's still telling me that I was overreacting and shouldn't have kicked him out like this. He's staying at one of his friends' houses but wants to come home. This man doesn't seem to think or even try to understand that he has messed up big time. Frankly speaking, I wasn't trying to threaten or scare him when I told him about the separation. I've been really considering getting one because I don't know how I will ever forgive him. He abandoned me at a time when I was the most vulnerable. He knew about all my insecurities and fears. He broke his promise to me and trampled over my trust in him, all because of a stupid bachelor's trip. I don't know why he thinks he can justify it. What's worse is that he has taken to social media to try and gain sympathy. Kenny is now telling everyone who will listen that I was being mean to him and emotionally hurting him because he had dared to take some time off for himself. He has made up some weird sob stories about how I was hormonal after my delivery and has been really unfair towards him for no reason. He even claimed that I kicked him out of the house and threatened to keep our baby away from him. Just for the record here, I said nothing of the sort. I told him that I couldn't have him in the house anymore and that he had already shown me how little he values me and our daughter. I wasn't going to drive around looking for a new place for myself and my child when I was about ready to pop. So the most logical thing for us to do is for him to leave the house while I stay back. It's not like he's homeless or anything. He has friends in our city, so he can easily go and stay with them. That's what he's doing right now. But Kenny's making all these cryptic posts on social media and painting me in a bad light. I've already received a lot of messages from friends and even co-workers who've been telling me that I shouldn't be mad at my husband for taking a break and I shouldn't go back on my word just because I've been feeling insecure. I don't even know what that means. I don't think I did anything wrong, but the people here are driving me crazy. I know that it's only a matter of time before his family joins in and starts calling me names as well. I am literally about to give birth very soon, and all this stress is making me go crazy. I have friends for support, but I'm kind of skeptical in reaching out to them. They probably think I'm a crazy pregnant lady because I'm pretty sure they read my husband's post as well. I'm afraid that no one will take my concerns seriously or understand my perspective here. Help me, guys. Tell me what to do about this situation. Did I really overreact? Should I have just let Kenny go? I know that we could have avoided all this drama if I had just agreed to let him go, but I was afraid to be alone in case I had a premature delivery. People who have kids may know that babies don't always come on their due dates. In many cases, they arrive prematurely. I don't think my worries were unfounded, but I will let you guys be the judge of it. Edit. I'm going to try and answer some questions that you guys have been asking. Yes, I know that I didn't go into labor, but I very well might have. No one could have confidently said that I wouldn't have gone into labor while my husband was away. Kenny had spoken to the doctor as well. He did accompany me to the appointment, so he had heard with his own 2 ears that the baby could be here any time. I had been sending him videos and articles about premature delivery and labor as well. I don't think he has read any of those. I don't think he ever considered my words seriously in the first place. Since a month before this trip, he had been extremely distracted due to all the excitement. I just thought that he was only excited about the wedding. When I learned that he was adamant about going on the bachelor's trip, I started to explain to him that it wouldn't have been possible. By the way, the wedding isn't due for another 2 months, so he would have been able to attend that. I would have encouraged him to go because the baby would be here by then. Just going to the wedding wasn't enough for him, though. He absolutely had to go on this stupid trip as well. Any good person in his place would have dropped out, but my husband simply didn't want to. Now he's whining about how I'm being unfair towards him because he went on a mini trip without me. Honestly speaking, I didn't even do anything to him. I was still going to allow him in the room when I gave birth because I didn't think he should be losing the chance to see his daughter being born. But the more I think about it, the more I'm inclined to not allow him to be in my room during the delivery. I mean, he made the conscious choice of leaving me alone when he knew that the baby could be here any second. He clearly doesn't care about seeing his baby being born since he took the risk of going 2,000 miles away from me and the baby. Update 1. Thank you so much for taking time to leave some comments on me. I didn't think so many people would weigh in on my situation and try to help me out. I think you guys can tell that I'm not doing very well mentally. The pregnancy and all this drama are really draining me mentally. Kenny has been accusing me of being hormonal and mean, which is why I have been second guessing myself a lot lately. My best friend is of course on my side, but I think she's biased, so I wanted a neutral opinion. Thank you so much for making me realize that I am not some crazy hormonal lady. It really means a lot to have someone validate my feelings. Some of you have been asking me about what the family has been doing in all this. Well, Kenny and I have our families in different states. We live far apart from them. You already know that my mom is long dead. My father never remarried and lives alone 3 states away. I have a sister who is married, but she stays about a 10-hour drive away. My husband's family all live 2,000 miles away. They still live in his hometown where all his friends are as well. He's the only one who had to move away due to a job opportunity. Technically speaking, we live away from all of our family. I don't know if they are aware of what's going on. I haven't told my family anything yet. My father and sister would absolutely take my side and probably verbally attack my husband for what he did. I didn't trust them to be unbiased, so I didn't tell them before I knew for sure that I had the right to be upset. I don't know if my husband has said anything to the in-laws and the rest of his family yet. His friends from his hometown and the people who also went on this bachelor's trip have reached out to me, though. All of them have claimed that I have been unfair to Kenny and shouldn't do this to him. However, some of their texts have been making me doubt if they even know the full story. I don't know if the in-laws are staying out of the drama or if they don't know what's going on. Either way, they will find out soon enough. For now, I'm going to try and talk to some of the friends on Kenny's side to see why they've been so fast in saying that I was at fault. Kenny is being outright delusional and mean about this entire situation. He keeps on saying that I'm overreacting. I sent him some really angry texts, after which he took down the social media posts. So all in all, his post wasn't up for over an hour. Thank God the messages started to pour in, because never in my life would I have thought that Kenny would try and attack me on social media. I didn't think he would be this stupid and go this far. I don't know what has gotten into him. Maybe I didn't know my husband at all. All of this is really messing with my brain. I don't want to deal with this, but I can't keep ignoring the problem. I know that eventually I will have to do something about the situation. I'm not sure if I should reach out to my in-laws yet, but I am sure as hell telling my family what's going on. You guys are right that they should know about this. I would need all the support I can get, especially since Kenny seems to be dead set on turning people against me. I will talk to some of the friends who have directly messaged me, even if it is to find out what story they have been fed. You guys might be right in saying that maybe Kenny is spreading misinformation about what happened. It's all becoming very clear for me now. I don't know what I'll do now, but I know for sure that I won't sit around and let Kenny spread nonsense about me. Update 2. Things have moved on fast. I didn't think I would be back with an update so soon. And that too, within a single day. I've been planning to confront Kenny and maybe his friend to find out what stories he's spreading about me. But I didn't have to take the initiative because my mother-in-law, Debbie, 52, female, called me last night. She said that she'd been hearing some really messed up stuff about me and Kenny and would like to know what was going on. Debbie had talked to Kenny, but straight up told me that she had trouble believing his words. She asked me to be truthful and tell her what happened between us. I told her the whole truth and also started to cry like a baby when I did. I guess I just couldn't keep my emotions in control anymore. I had been mostly angry when people came at me accusing me of being crazy and unreasonable, but Debbie wasn't like that. She actually came to me without any accusations and offered to hear my side. No one else did that. This woman is truly God sent. I am pretty sure if this was someone else, they would have immediately taken their son's side and believed his story instead of asking for my perspective. Debbie told me that she couldn't believe I would be as unreasonable and mean as Kenny was making out to be. I didn't hide anything from her. I told her the whole truth. Guys, Debbie was livid. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. I even sent her screenshots of all the texts between me and Kenny as proof. She said she didn't need proof, but I sent it anyway. I have just had it with people accusing me of being a horrible wife. Debbie told me what you guys, and even I, have been suspecting for a while. Kenny has been telling people lies about what happened. Debbie said that Kenny told everyone that I had originally given him permission to go, but started to freak out when he was gone. Apparently, I had demanded he come home immediately when he had already reached the resort that his friend had booked. Kenny said that the doctor had okayed him to go and had told us that the baby won't be here soon. Debbie said that this comment of his in particular made her sure that Kenny was making up stories. She's a woman and knows that no doctor would say that, and even if they did, it's simply not a risk worth taking. Debbie has already yelled at Kenny for leaving me alone so close to my due date and told him that he has to be ashamed of himself. Kenny, of course, defended himself and said that I gave him permission to go and only started misbehaving with him when he was already at the resort. The lengths to which this man can go to protect himself is absolutely ridiculous. He had no problem throwing me under the bus and making me look like a crazy person in front of everyone. I simply can't believe that he would do this to his own wife. Debbie said that Kenny knew that he would be in big trouble if they found out the truth, so he twisted it to make it seem like I was the crazy one. She apologized for her son's behavior and said that he won't be forgiven or let go easily. She vowed revenge on my part, which was frankly a little funny. Debbie is a huge mama bear, but she turns into a hurricane when her kids mess up. She's pretty no nonsense, and so is her husband. She's going to talk to my father-in-law about this and then get back to me. They're probably going to fly out to me so that I won't be alone when I give birth. Now that I know what Kenny has done, there is very little chance that I will allow him in the delivery room. So that's where we are at right now. Update 2. Hi guys, I didn't know I would have to come back so soon, but a few things happened that I sort of had to. This isn't going to be a happy update at all. This won't be very long because I don't have the energy to give you each and every detail about the situation, but I'm going to try my best to explain what's going on. My father-in-law, Mike, 55 male, called me back and apologized for Kenny's behavior. He is equally livid at his son as his wife is. Debbie has filled him in on what happened. He promised to bring his wife and come to me as soon as possible. They even offered to stay with me as long as I needed and if I wanted them. Both Debbie and Mike said that they would accept and support whatever decision I would take about my husband. They know that Kenny messed up big time, and they had no excuses or reasonable explanations for his behavior. They also did their part in telling all of Kenny's old friends the true story about what he had done. I had received apology texts from all of the groomsmen who had been present on the trip and had verbally attacked me in the texts. They said that they had been fed false information and even sent me texts from their personal and group conversations with Kenny. From the text, it's clear that Kenny simply isn't ready to be a father. He has been telling people that he doesn't feel ready to have a child and that I was the one who pressured him to have a kid with me. That isn't true because it was a mutual decision. My thoughts right now are that he started panicking towards the end of my pregnancy when things became too real. He vented to his friends but didn't want to look like a deadbeat, so he lied about being pressured into having a kid. Kenny basically wanted this trip as a last hurrah before getting into the life that he had started to dread. When I refused to support this decision, he decided to take the petty way out. Even now, he's putting all the blame on me because I forced him to have a baby and then have been emotionally manipulating him and controlling him by throwing him out of the house. He has made up a lot of stories and honestly speaking, it's just super messed up. I am not in the right mind or health to talk about this right now. Kenny has already found out that I had talked to his parents and they have in turn talked to his friends. He's suddenly blowing up my phone, begging me to talk to him. Quite interestingly, he isn't calling me rude, mean, unreasonable, unfair, and hormonal anymore. In fact, he's trying to be sweet and sounding remorseful. Honestly, I don't care anymore. Those texts really destroyed me. I don't even think I want to be with this man anymore. I don't have the mental capacity to make any solid decisions yet. But I don't think this marriage will continue. I'm just going to focus on having my daughter, and once she's here, I'll make a decision for good. Update 3. I know I've been gone for 2 months, but I think you guys know why. As you can guess, I had my daughter, and she's close to being 2 months old. I went into labor 2 days after making the last update. I had my beautiful baby daughter with no complications and had my best friend hold my hand while I did. I took some time off to focus on adjusting to my new life with a brand new baby, so you have to excuse my absence. I know that you guys have been waiting for a final update, but you don't want to wait anymore since this is it. Unlike the last one, this one is going to be a happy update as far as I'm concerned. You remember how I said I was rethinking allowing my husband in the delivery room? I followed through on that plan. Kenny was only informed about the baby an hour after I gave birth. I simply didn't want to handle the stress of him insisting on being in the delivery room. I wanted a little time to recover before facing whatever tantrum he had. Thankfully for me, there was no tantrum. Debbie and Mike were already present at the hospital since they had arrived at my house 4 hours before I went into labor. They had kept their promise of getting to me as fast as possible. Anyway, my in-laws had probably instilled the fear of God in Kenny because he kept his mouth shut and didn't bother me. After I went back home with the baby, I allowed Kenny to come and visit the baby. I wasn't going to keep him away from the child despite what I knew about his feelings. We did have a sit-down conversation a month after the baby was born. Kenny actually apologized for his actions and finally admitted to me that he suddenly panicked about having a baby after the 35th week. Instead of talking to me or seeking help, he vented to his friends and shifted all the blame on me. He saw the trip as his last chance to be a carefree, irresponsible man. He said he knew what he was doing was wrong and he knew that he would never be able to justify his actions to me. That's why he decided to secretly leave and ghost me once he was there. But when he was coming home, he was filled with dread. Kenny knew that he messed up, which was why he doubled down on me after the trip. According to Kenny, he was afraid that I would leave him for good. He was right about that because that's exactly what I did. I have already filed for divorce. I did it shortly after I had this conversation with Kenny. I told him that there was no coming back from what happened and I wasn't going to stay with a man who I didn't even trust anymore. Kenny, of course, begged and pleaded with me not to divorce him. He kept saying he didn't want to lose everything. He's right to be afraid because everyone in his life has now distanced themselves from him. His parents don't talk to him. His friends have been staying away after being thoroughly disgusted with his actions. I used to be his best friend, according to him, but I wasn't giving him the time of day anymore. He claims that he would never give up our daughter and she's the best thing that happened to him after me. Too bad. He isn't going to get either of us completely. Anyway, the divorce is going to happen despite what he wants. Literally no one has told me that I'm making the wrong decision. My in-laws have been incredibly supportive and have made it clear that I will always be family to them. They even offered to give me the house we live in since it's one of their properties. They had bought us the house when we moved to this city. We couldn't afford a house on our own, so they bought it for us. Kenny and I were supposed to inherit it after their death. Mike and Debbie changed their mind and said that they would transfer the house to me so that I would have a permanent place to raise their granddaughter. I have been really lucky to have them in my life. I'm not too afraid of being a single mom, though. I know I have it covered. My loving father has offered to move closer to me so that he can babysit whenever I want. Even my sister is considering moving to our city so that we can be closer. I already have my best friend who's been my rock from the very beginning. So I have a pretty good support system right now. The divorce will take time, but it will happen. I'm being civil with Kenny because we would need to co-parent. Even though he is hopeful of us getting back together, let me tell you, that is simply not going to happen. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.